Hey there. Welcome back to Jason's Pen Journey. Here we are at the close of 2025, and it's planner season for a lot of folks. They're doing their setups for 2026. It's late December, and I thought I have a planning system that worked really well for me this past year that I thought I would share with everyone else as I was working on setting it up for 2026. Now's the time before I start actually populating it with all my appointments and to-dos and all the things that are really things I don't want to show on camera. I figured now was the perfect time to record this video. So for background context, I've been trying to get the right planning system for myself for, at this point, decades. Um, I've been trying a lot of different methods. I've kind of played around with a lot of the really well-known ones, and really leaned a lot towards digital as opposed to analog. Being somebody in the tech industry, I had a predilection for going things digital, and I never found something that worked well for me or I was able to maintain for any length of time. So it goes back to the getting things done system. I've tried bullet journaling, both digitally and analog. I tried things on the Mac. I tried OmniFocus. I tried in more recent years. I've tried things like using Obsidian, an open source software. I've tried even within Obsidian systems like Nick Milo's Linking Your Thinking. Um, and I've tried Notion, I've tried Trello boards, I've tried Asana, I've tried everything within reason. Um, and because I was just planning for myself and I needed something that fit into the way that I think and the way that I work. Um, Nothing fit quite right. And because I work um, with other tech workers for my day job, um, everything that I tried that was connected to other people didn't really work because I couldn't figure out how to um, fit just my things into it without overloading systems. And I tried like different agile practices and all that. And I do that for my day job. My team practices Scrum, and so I'm a Scrum lead and all that. But like that's not right for me personally, and trying to integrate all the different parts of how I work. So um, last year, about a year ago, as I was kind of getting into the fountain pen journey, just starting out, I was kind of looking for excuses to play with my pens more. Um, and I tried again last December to go back to an analog system and see, Obsidian was something that I had invested a ton of time with, and I spent so much time building the system that I wasn't actually tracking the work, which is the kind of fallacy that a lot of folks fall into with these systems. So I went back to basics. I was watching some YouTube videos on bullet journaling and similar systems, and said, okay, what is really important to me? Um, and I came up with something that I think worked pretty well. I actually maintained it for the entire calendar year of 2025. And I'm planning on going into 2026 with it basically unmodified from last year. I made one slight tweak as I changed over the calendar year or over the calendar. So, um, just kind of for reference, some of the other things that I still maintain. So this is not everything that I'm going to do. I also do use Google Calendar religiously for work. I work in a company that's got a pretty meeting heavy culture, so we're doing a lot of scheduling. Within our company, within our day to day lives. I do a shared Google Calendar with my wife for personal stuff, so we have birthdays and appointments and things like that. So we know when one of us is scheduled to do something and the other one needs to be aware of it, or when we got something joint plans. So we've got all that dialed in already. I also use Apple reminders for time sensitive tasks that I need to kind of carry with me so that I have it on my phone. I can schedule things that have to be done by a certain time of day or a certain day of the week. Like take out the trash on Wednesday night before Thursday morning rolls around, and then the garbage truck comes by and make sure the cans are out. It has to be done at a certain time every Wednesday night, and I have to not only schedule it, but I also have to like make sure I check it off the list. Things like that, or make sure our rent check is paid on the first of the month. I don't always remember when the first of the month is. I don't know what date it is on a given day, so I got to make sure the rent check actually gets paid on the right day. Um, Things like I got to go after work to go to the dry cleaner to pick up stuff that I had with the cleaners. I care about that on a specific day when I get into the car or get out of the car, or when I get home or I leave home. Like those things I use Apple reminders for because they've got the location based and the time based things. Um, what else? I also use a lot of different notebook systems at home and on the go for a variety of different things that are not so task oriented. So I have my daily journaling practice that I've got in a B5 notebook that stays at home. I've got a variety of little kind of junk notebooks, the Rhodia A5s and things like that I use for jotting down ideas about videos that I'm going to record, writing down what I've got currently inked for my fountain pens, which I can bring it to pen meetups, um, and all those kinds of things. So I've got a variety of those things. I've got the Midori MD desk pad, little notepads. I think I've talked about those in videos before. These are this block of note pads, just kind of square, great for jotting things down really quick. I've got a Rhodia A4 not legal, but the flip top pad that I use for kind of more longer form, just kind of free writing of ideas or brainstorming. So like I said, I got a lot of different things. I've got the Midori 10-year diary that I record, what happened every day, just so I can do that over the course of a decade. But the big thing, the powerhouse, is what I'm going to show you in a moment. So this is the Off-A-Gift hardcover dotted notebook. I'll include a link to where I got it from Amazon. It is pretty inexpensive for how much power it packs in here. It doesn't fit on the camera here. This is an A4 size, so it's really large. It's pretty bulky. See if I can get that to show you. So this is the little wrapper that comes around it. So it's 312 numbered pages. There's some content pages up front. It's 100 GSM thick paper. It has a bullet journal key page. It's got 8 sheets of tearable pages, and it's 180-degree lay flat, is what they say. So this is actually my 2025 planner. So I'm not going to show you that, but it went all the way up, all the way till last week. I haven't really been doing any planning while I've been on vacation, but it's a nice hefty notebook. So what I'll do is I'll show you. So the blue one is last year. The green one is this year, so or this coming year, 2026. So a couple of features. So it's got this elastic band that wraps around. It's got a pen loop. It does have two different ribbons here, so you can keep your place. Opens up, and you've got a in case of loss, please return to. And after I record the video, I'll fill in my telephone number, my email address, and ways of getting a hold of me. I also put in my 2026 intentions, which I haven't written yet, so that's why it's blank. But that way it's always with me as I go throughout the year. Going into the first couple of pages. So it starts out with these content pages, and I'll explain this in a moment. It's got 4 pages of content. Not super exciting. And then you get into, it's got a kind of bullet journal style key. I'll explain that in a moment. Then you get into the actual numbered pages. This is hard to get everything shown on the camera because it is an A4 size. So numbered pages, dot grid. So if I jump to the end, the back of it, it actually does have it wasn't advertised as such, but it does have this little flap here at the end, a little pocket. And it comes with some little stencils that I didn't do anything with last year, and I completely forgot were even there. It did mention that there was some tearaway pages, and I don't think you're able to see it, but the last 8 pages here are actually perforated. So I'm not really sure why, and I didn't even notice that until I was re-looking at the wrapper here. The paper itself, I mentioned, so it's 100 GSM. It is not the best paper, so it isn't really as fountain pen friendly as I would like. It does kind of bleed through a bit, so I got to be a little careful about which pens I'm using with it. Nothing, too wet, which is okay for me because most of the pens I use are with a fine nib. But it also, I have gotten, the kind of paper fibers stuck in my pen nib sometimes when I'm doing things with this. But that's the notebook. I'll have to check the price of what I paid for it. It's not super expensive. It's under $30 on Amazon. They come in different colors. They come in different sizes as well. I'd actually purchased one in a B4 or B5 that I was thinking about switching to, but I ultimately said, you know what, this works well for me. Like I said, it's pretty hefty size. It's almost, it's an A4. So if I compare it to my work laptop, it kind of is almost as big as a MacBook Pro, the kind of 15-inch model. So it's not light. It's not small. It does fit in my backpack with my laptop. But let me go through what I do here. When I said I use a modified bullet journal. So the first feature that I kind of want to talk about is I do use the monthly log pages. And then I've got a section of weekly logs, and then I've got freeform note pages. So I'll go through those in a moment. So as we jump ahead, I use, like I said, modified bullet journal. So what I do is I use a single bullet for a task. Let's get a pen in here. I X out when I've completed the task. I use an arrow to note that the task is migrated to another day. I then use another arrow to point to what date the task migrated to. If I cross something out, it means it's canceled or irrelevant. I'll do a note with a simple dash, a circle for an event. So an event would be something like a meeting that I know I have scheduled that day, or an appointment that I have, like a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, or a birthday, or something that's an event that I have planned. And then I don't actually recall the last time I used the asterisk to note something that was a priority. But I jotted it down because it is something that I had in my system last year. So that's kind of my note taking. Again, these are based on the bullet journal system. So nothing inventive here for me. Then I go into my monthly pages. So what we have is month, year, 1 through, in January's case, 1 through 31. And what I'll do here, and then the R denotes Thursday, then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That way I can kind of at a glance know what days of the week the month is landing on. And what I'll do is at the beginning of the month and throughout the course of the month, usually at the beginning of the month, I'll do this. I'll kind of plan out what I know the the events are going to be. So if it's something that, let's say, for instance, my birthday is in January, I'll put my birthday on there. My brother's birthday, one of my brothers, one of my niece's birthday, my uncle's birthday. I know those are events that are going to happen every year, so I'll pre-populate those at the beginning of the month. I know that I'm going to have a work offsite meeting in the month of January. I'll populate those dates so I can kind of at a glance know those things are coming. I know we have a monthly business review for my department that I'll populate those dates in just so I can see at a glance what I have coming up. If I have any doctor's appointments or things like that, I'll populate those. I know we have a meeting with our financial planner, things like that. I'll populate those in. Um, then I do up here on the upper right, high level monthly tasks that I know that I'm going to complete that are due that month. And they're not necessarily due on a certain day, they just have to be done that month. So this is pretty common for me to do. Every month I have to provide a bunch of updates up to my executives on certain things. And they have due dates, but I kind of try to make sure that they're done. I don't really care so much which day I deliver them on. I just have to make sure that they are done because that is critical for my job. The other thing I do, I'll also note that as I was as I was planning things out for this year and I was pre-populating everything, my terminology changed. So I started writing monthly tasks, and then I noticed when I went back to look back, I started putting the actual month tasks. So it'd be January tasks, but I didn't do that until like September, October. I kind of forgot what I was doing. It's one of the problems with a system like this is you are planning out the book and you kind of have to make sure you get it right. Um, and then down here in the lower part of the page, lower third of the page, I've got my section for accomplishments. And this is really good for when I do quarterly check-ins with my manager, or I have to put together contents for a newsletter at work. I try to remember what happened, and this is my kind of running log of big things that we got done this month. So I know that in January I'll say, um, actually I have no idea what I'm going to say in January because I haven't started January yet. But I know there's going to be some things in January that I will want to make sure that when I look back over the course of the fiscal quarter, for instance, I want to remember what those details were because I need to report those out. As well as, when I get to like year-end performance reviews with my boss, I need to be able to tell her, here's the things I accomplished that given month or that given quarter. So that's the monthly setup. I mentioned at the beginning that I do a weekly as well, but I'm going to cover that in a bit because I do that not as a plan, but as a review. I also use uh, book darts here to just give myself a little structure of how to flip to the next page. So I use these little tabs. I happen to grab green ones here, but these are little stickers, so I can just kind of at a glance see here's January, February, March, April, May, etc. Um, just a way to quickly denote where I am in the book and to get to the right section. So let me go into January and show what the pages look like. So let's start with Monday, January 5th, because that'll be the first day back from vacation. Here's the one of the ribbons. This will be, to wherever I am in the current week. This will kind of follow along with me. And so what I'll do is for Monday, I'll actually write out the different things that I know that I have to do on Monday. So for example, I know that I've got, a team meeting as we come back from break. I know that I have our data and insights meeting with my data analyst guy. And I'll just kind of jot down whatever's on the calendar. And I'll do this ahead of time, at least a day ahead. And then I know that every Monday I do, what do I do? I do my agent pulse metrics. I do my LAP generics. I do failure mode tagging. This is all stuff that's inside baseball for my job, but it's nothing secret. I do these actually, I do this one and this one every day. So I'll repeat those as I go through just to make sure I get them done. It doesn't matter when in the day I do them, just that I record our metrics for that day. And then every week I'll do these. These are some Google Sheets that I update as a running list. I also do a PagerDuty sheets, and I'll update those. I'm also going to do, because it'll be the kind of the beginning of the month, I'll do my lap, which is something, again, specific for my job. I'll get all those metrics pulled together. And so I know that just because it's the beginning of the calendar month and it's beginning of the week, I know I have to do all of these things. And that's without looking at my actual calendar. And I'll add in any other meetings up here. I don't think I have a whole lot of meetings coming back from the break. So I'll fill in any other meetings with an event, a little circle there. And then these are tasks that I need to do. And what I'll do is I'll continue to fill in the day as I go. Some days are going to be lighter than others. Beginning of the week, when I do a lot of these weekly tasks, Mondays tend to be pretty heavy. And then the rest of the week tends to be more meeting focused until I get to Friday, which is a little more focused time. One thing that I'm doing differently this year is I used to actually pre-populate over here, I would say, notes. I don't think I need to do that this year. I know that the notes go there. It's just one less thing I have to write out for every day of the year. I have plenty of space here for notes, for short form notes. And what I'll show in a few minutes is the space at the end of the book for more longer form notes. And so each page of the A4 is going to have 2 or 3 days worth of notes. So from Monday and Tuesday will be on one page. So the top half of the page will be Monday. Second half of the page will be Tuesday. The next page will be, I'm sure you're going to be shocked by this. Next page will be Wednesday. And then Thursday. And then Fridays get a half page. But then Saturday and Sunday, when I'm not working, I don't need notes on Saturday and Sunday. It's just for personal to-dos usually. So they only need a half a page each. Sorry, a quarter of a page. So Fridays get their own half page. Saturdays and Sundays only get a quarter of a page. And then we go into, by the way, and you notice here, so how much bleed through we do get here. It's not the best paper, but it's good enough for this purpose because, again, I'm usually not filling up every inch of the page. So then we go into Monday again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. We keep going until we get to the end of the month. And there we've got our February, same setup. You'll notice that sometimes the end of the month doesn't land perfectly with the page. So I might do something like January 31st, February 1st on the same page, and then we break it up with the February log. Depends on the month, depends on how I'm feeling at the moment. So March, as a comparison, March ended up again pretty cleanly. February, with Friday, February 27th, February 28th on a Saturday, March 1st. I'm not so much worried about notes on Saturdays and Sundays. So then we have a clean page, and then all of my monthly pages are on the right side. So there's March. There's April, and you can see I started to write 2025 there because I was on autopilot as I was filling these things out. Cross it out, made sure to make that look like a 26. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm the only one who's seeing this other than you all who are now seeing it. March actually landed with a full page with 2 days. So Monday, March 30th, Tuesday, March 31st. And then what I'll have to do that week is flip over into April, which will be on the next page. So there's Wednesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, etc. So it keeps going. It's all the same month over month until we get to December. When we get into December, I'm expecting that we'll have a similar vacation time, but I planned it out so that we go all the way to December 31st as normal. And I actually, because I was thinking ahead, like I know I'm gonna be off on on Friday, January 1st, and then Saturday and Sunday will be, kind of the end of a long weekend at minimum. So that's the last page, and I don't go into January 4th, which will be a Monday. Um, at this point, we're done with 2026. We'll go to the 2027 notebook when the time comes. Okay, so that's the daily pages, which again are kind of a half day or half page per day, or a half and 2/4 per day per page. Then when I go into the next section of the book, so at this point I'm on page 175. So on 177, I have my weekly reviews format, and I'm going to link to this and show. I want to give credit to Writing at Large, a website that I found, and they do. It's just somebody's blog, but one of the things that I found on there as I was doing this over the course of the year, I found this weekly reviews format that they talk about that goes through what worked, what didn't work, one win, one challenge, and people of the week. And so just read this out real quick because my handwriting is pretty janky when I was doing, quickly here. What worked, things that I did well or differently or consistently this week that I can learn from. What didn't work, not an opportunity to beat myself up. Process and systems, not personal blame. Overly ambitious plans that need to be rethought. Things that point to missing infrastructure. Things that point to projects and tasks needing a redesign or maybe to be put on hold. It should all be actionable. Then we'll have one win for the week, something worth celebrating, even something small. One challenge, something to consider, to plan ahead for, to gear up for. It should be a productive food for your anxious mind. And people of the week, finally, is someone worth remembering and being thankful for this week. The award goes to ... And then what I expect I'll do is every week, and I actually have this as a scheduled task that I'll do on Fridays. I'll put it actually as a task in the regular book, but I'll also have it set up as an Apple reminder because I want to make sure I remind myself, even if I miss it on Friday afternoon, I do want to remind myself to do this practice. So this will be my kind of weekly brain dump of what happened that I want to make sure I remember of what worked, what didn't work, one win, one challenge, and people of the week. And for people of the week, it could be one person, it could be a team of people, it could be several people. Each one of these can be multiple notes. It might be 2 wins, it might be 2 challenges, it might be 3. It doesn't really matter. It's my reminder to myself of what happened. So then what I did was I counted out, for the 52 weeks of the year, and then I get to find the final section, which is notes on any topic. And this is just free pages. And I've got the second ribbon here, and this is on page 241 is the first one. And so if I flip all the way back to the beginning, so page 241, this is where I will do more longer form notes on any specific topic. So this is great for planning purposes at work where I'm trying to make sure that I understand what we're going to be doing on a given topics, more long form planning. I'll have all my notes written out on those pages, and I can, using this little index, I can do the topic of the page and then which page number it's on. So I can always refer back. And then on the notes pages here, I can, instead of doing a short note here, I can do a pointer to that page. So page 241 will be the notes from January 19th for the big 3-hour meeting where I was taking a bunch of notes, or the planning session, or whatever the case may be. So that is what I'll do. And then I've got, whatever space is left at the back of the book to do those long form notes. And that's it. That is my Offa-Gift hardcover dotted notebook for 2026. Again, this is the system that works well for me. It worked well for me for 1 year, and I plan to go into 2026 using the same system one more time. It's not going to be for everybody. It's what worked for me. and I'd love to hear what works for you. If there's something that you want to learn more about from my system, feel free to ask in the comments, and get a dialogue going with me of what did I mean by that, or how would you adapt that for this purpose. For me, this worked really well. So, um, like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Like the content, it helps other people find it. And with that, keep on writing.